What I thought too is something that's super important is as we're kind of on these calls once a month, don't be afraid to grab a partner that you see in this chat or, that you're looking to on the screen and say like, hey, you're in this area. That's not my market. Let's hold each other accountable. Like I say, a couple months ago, I saw Mark Hernandez down in LA. He was like, hey, I'm going after working out and I'm going to get in shape and I'm going to do it. And for whatever reason, I just reached out to him and was like, hey, will you be my accountability buddy? Let's wake each other up at like 4:35 in the morning. And it was great. And all of a sudden we just started bonding and, he's down in LA. That's a huge market for us. So again, it doesn't take much. And just, we as collective human beings just need to connect more and more. Kind of wanted to talk about bulk mail again. We kind of talked about that last month. For those of you that weren't here, there's just some ideas that I had for you guys. And one of the most important things that I want to just recommend is, again, when you can, outsource whatever you can. That is accounting and bookkeeping. That is marketing. I use Agent Upgrade. It's an amazing company. They run my social media. I get asked all the time, Butch, are you in San Diego? I'm like, nope. And then like people respond to my Instagram. That is all run by another company called Agent Upgrade. I do my coaching through Chirag. I do these things to give back on Chirag. I do not get paid. I just do it because I love connecting with my fellow colleagues out there in Compass Land. And I just believe so strongly in what Chirag's training was. Being in the business for a long time, I was like, what could he teach me? And it's amazing how he's organized my business, got me asking the right questions. And I feel it's only responsible on my part to kind of give back. One of the things I wanted to share as I strategize with my team, we have a lot of likely to sells. I heard some crazy statistic that like $7 or $8 billion worth of sales were listed by other brokerages that were in our likely to sells at Compass. I mean, it's just staggering. I can't tell you how many people I have seen over the last couple of years where I've lost touch, and I just feel bad because I've gotten busy. I didn't stay in touch. So just the other day, we went and I'm going to share my screen here. But if you guys are familiar with bulk mail, and can you guys see this screen right here, the bulk mail screen? So bulk mail, we just go create a new bulk mail right here. We did, how's your 2023 going? Just really frustrated with like Silicon Valley Bank and First Republic Bank, who I love. So we just created this silly little email and we sent it out. It says, hey, blank, 2023. We thought it couldn't get any weirder than 2020, but here we are. We've decided that reconnecting is the most important thing we can do with you. May we stay in touch with you, right? Asking for permission. We'd love to share our access to key resources, contractors, attorneys, architects, wealth managers, real-time marketing updates, and our network of agents across the country. Let me know how I can help. Sent with loving kindness. That's it, right? That's it. I'm going to put this in the chat. And it's, hey, blank, 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 right? That's it. So now let's take a look. So if we go here, we have a 77, wait, let me share my screen again, sorry. We have a 77% open ratio. Again, I don't care if they respond or not. I care that I'm making touch and connecting. I had a whole host of vendors that reached out and said, hey, Butch, I'm here. We sent 40 out, and I just go 40 every single day. It's all my likely to sells. Every day. It's going to take 2 months to hit every single person. The system could not be any easier. You have no excuse to have an assistant or yourself. Just wake up, 10 minutes earlier, set a cup of coffee, time block, whatever you want to do. You just go in likely to sells. It pulls up a list of 40. It's really easy to do. You just click on the button and you send this email out, and it goes out. It was intended to make people laugh. It was intended to make people kind of think or write back or respond. Maybe they don't respond at all, but they know that I've sent them an email. Again, huge in terms of the open ratios. I can go back to sellers when I'm pitching and talk about my open ratios, right? Then what happened is I got responses from a bunch of vendors, right? What would I do with those vendors? I'm gonna have a party. They're gonna sponsor it, right? A top agent from Hawaii is coming out here for a Napa event. I said, hey, Jason, I'd love to introduce you to other agents in San Francisco. All these vendors are responding on my bulk mail. Does that make sense? They're all responding. Guess who's throwing my next party? Those vendors. Hey, I'm going to have this architect sponsor a cocktail party, right? All agents today, they're asking, like, how do I level up? How do I get bigger listings? Right? That's an honest, fair questions. How can I get more listings? Right? Like, throw events all the time. Like, how can I throw events? How can I connect? A gal on my team, she's got a great sphere of people, amazing sphere of people, but she's really struggling because her friends or her peers won't work with her for whatever reason. I don't know what it is, right? They like her as a friend. She just is having a hard time connecting to her peer group. I said, then go to people that you don't know, because they'll trust you, right? Like, they don't know not to trust you, whatever. I don't know what it is, right? And that's what I've seen in my experience. Some people are really good at working their sphere and network, and some people aren't. And they're good at working with strangers or being handed a lead. But I'm sharing with you, one of the easiest things you can do is, if you don't have bigger listings, call an agent at Compass that has a listing that's been out for a while, right? It's been on the market for a month or two, big ones. And then try and throw an event and have one of your vendors that you work with sponsor the party. You could even cold call. Like, one of the big things that I know, if I want to work with a lot of young buyers, right? What are young buyers? They typically have kids. They need to set up a trust. They need to set up a 529 for their babies, right? They don't know this. So you could have a trust attorney sponsor a party. If you want to go after young couples and millennials, you could call up a fertility clinic that's in your city and say, hey, I want to have a party. Would you like to sponsor this? I have lots of clients that are interested, and I think it would be great. I could sponsor this event. There's women's groups, if you like restaurants, or things like that. I remember we did this one with personal chefs. So I called this company. I said, would you do a personal chef thing? I want to show high-end clients, like, you're a great company to call for personal chefs. Can people, it's just so hard because I don't know the feedback, but does this help, or any questions about this in the chat? I don't know. Feedback is great because it's hard. Thank you, Samantha. Anyone else? So again, I just love the idea of getting scrappy in events. Thanks, Yvonne. Yeah. All these things, right? So again, it costs you money to throw an event. So how do I offset that? So insurance companies, if you work with an insurance broker, from Farmers, State Farm, right? In San Francisco, there was a company we really recently introduced. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time this morning. Coffee with my words. Unique New York. Unique New York. They do ADUs, right? So the company was called Villa. And so we had an event and we said, hey, Villa, please sponsor this. Agents all over want to connect and learn about ADUs, and their clients do. So it was really easy. They paid for everything. They came in, we talked about ADUs, all these things. So there's ADU companies, attorneys, Like I say, I get asked all the time, like, who do I call? You can call your clients and say, do you want to sell? Do you want to sell? Do you want to sell? And you will never get more unsubscribed and deleted, and friends will run away, right? You ready to sell your house? You ready to sell your house? I want you to call. I want you to make a list. Again, make a list. Attorneys, contractors, wealth managers. I don't have any wealth managers. We talked about this last time. I don't have a wealth manager. I don't have a good tax person. Great. Ask your friends. Use bulk mail. Ask your friends, who do you like as a tax person? Right? And then again, Donna, right? Donna might respond and say, oh, I love John. He's a great tax person. So then I call John, the tax guy, and I say, Donna referred me to you. Would you like to get together for coffee? Great. I have access to 30. Do you know what, Cindy, do you know what you have? You have access to 30,000 agents across the country that know every single person in the United States. You have access to 30,000 agents that know every single person in the United States. What value could you possibly offer this guy or her or them? We don't even know the power we have as agents, right? We sit here and go, I don't know who to call. What can I offer? What can I do? Again, create an Excel spreadsheet. Attorneys, right? There's 3 different attorneys: land use, divorce attorneys, tax attorneys, right? Those are 3 on your Excel spreadsheet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Contractors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wealth managers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I don't have 5 in that category, I am calling my friends, trying to list and fill that out. That's who I'm calling. And then I'm trying to think of what possibly could I offer that wealth manager? What if we did a killer party at one of these amazing mansions, right? What if we got into Google, or what if we, whatever your big company is in your city, if you're in Boston, right? Or if you're in Houston, right, Linda? Like so what I would try and do is say, like, what's a really cool company in Houston? Like maybe BP, right? Like huge company. One of the managers might want to do an offsite, right? Like what do they do all the time? They have meetings in their office. I guarantee you, I promise you, they have one major problem right now: getting people back to the office. Guaranteed. Right? So you say, hey, do I have a friend that knows somebody at BP? Anyone, anywhere. All I'm trying to do is find a senior manager and say, would you like to do an offsite at a luxury mansion? I will call, and what you could do is call the Ferrari dealership or the Rolls-Royce dealership or one of these and say, can we put some cars out in front? Call a restaurant, right? And say, like, hey, would you want to sponsor a little catering? We love your restaurant. And I'm going to bring in all these people from BP, and we're going to have like 100 execs, or 50 of this one division, high-end division, and we're going to have a little cocktail party or a yoga thing or a whatever, right? Would that be fun? Or a coffee tasting, right? Like maybe there's a boutique coffee thing, and the manager gets to say, like, hey, we're going to have a fun offsite. We're going to get together. We're going to team build. We're going to bond, right? Now for that, and if you don't have the listing, call one of your, cohorts, your colleagues, and say, hey, if I brought a bunch of executives from BP to your place, or from Google or whatever, right? Does that make sense? So what's the follow-up after those events? Yeah, you have the list, right? I need a list of everybody that's attending, because we want to make sure no one shows up or walks in. I need a list, right? And then you can follow up, and this is the key, right? So I thought it was brilliantly done. The new development group, by the way, this is a great group to contact and befriend. The new dev group of Compass. They're always putting up new buildings. So they have this place on Treasure Island out here in San Francisco. It's a suburb island in between Oakland and San Francisco. And they did a big new development. And they invited a bunch of agents. So what's the follow-up? What's the number one thing you can do? Take pictures. Hire somebody to walk around and take pictures. If you can't get the names, they walk around. You hire somebody. I hired a gal at this. We had an Oracle here. I had an alumni party. Brought them into our house, our $15 million listing, and I hired a gal for $300. And her one job was to walk around and say, could I take your picture in the view? Took the picture and goes, we're going to post this on Instagram. So she Instagrammed the property website, my name and my Instagram, and their Instagram. Does that make sense? So now think about this. The guy, Kevin, who gets his picture taken, who's a senior manager at Oracle, he has 2,000 friends on Facebook or on Instagram, right? 500, whatever. Now everybody on Instagram that's his friends has seen this beautiful house, right? Because they're all seeing his picture. Wow, where'd you see that? How'd you get a picture with that view? And I can tell my seller, God, I had 20 people over and we hit 20,000 people in Instagram. Got your house in front of 20,000 people. And you know what this guy did? He said, Butch, I forgot you were in the real estate business. Now, did he forget? Or he just didn't care? Or I never connected with him? I never spent the time, right? He lives in Oakland. I just never did. He goes, my daughter, I want to get my daughter a place. Do you have any ideas how I could do that? Right? So then I'm working on a spreadsheet. But that was just a really basic thing. I took a picture, I invited him to a party, right? I'm going to sell his daughter a $1.5 million, or he's going to help her buy it, but right? That's a $1.5 million deal for paying somebody $300 to walk around with the camera. That's good ROI. So Leslie, to answer your question, that would be the follow-up, right? I'm either trying to get the list, I'm getting the list while I'm there, I'm having a Kodak moment at the event. That's critical. Because remember, where do people, who do you want? You want the friends of the people that got invited, right? And again, if you don't do well closing on your friends, that's great. Then you got to do open houses. And I'm fine with that, right? Like some people are like, I don't want to do business with friends. I'm good. You know, I remember when I first got into business, like none of my friends would do business with me. So then how do I do that? How do I take, and that's throwing events. And again, I want you to save your money. Don't you spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on these events. Get other businesses and just try and imagine what they want, right? They want access to Google people. They want access to BP people. They want access to, again, if you're in Boston, right? Or whatever, like I'm in Boston, like whatever school you graduated from, like how do I get a hold of the alumni there, right? If you went to Harvard, MIT, any of those schools, Boston College, right? Like maybe I contact the school and say, hey, I'd love to do an alumni event for a specific thing, right? Like for people that graduate from law school, 92 to 96. I want to get them together. And I have this beautiful house. We're going to have fun, Like one of the guys on my team graduated from Golden Gate University Law. I said, gee, I wonder how you could, make contact with Golden Gate University and invite some lawyers to a big house and get them together and connect. God, if you only could think of a way, And here he is, an alumni, right? All he has to do is call and say, hey, who do I talk to? Butch, where are you hosting most of your events? Like I say, they're either listings that I have. If I don't have, and again, I don't want you to say like, well, I don't have a $10 million listing or I don't have a $20 million listing. Your colleague does. I guarantee your colleague, anything with a big number on it has been sitting, right? There's a good chance the bigger the price tag, the longer it's been sitting. And that agent has run out of options of how to get people over to that listing. Like, hey, let's partner. I have this idea. And then you say why it's good for him or her, right? You can tell your seller you're doing this to get in front of more people. Does that make sense? If it's a new restaurant, you can do it at a new restaurant. Like maybe it's a hot new restaurant or whatever, right? Like, hey, I was thinking about throwing an event. Would you be interested in doing something with me? I was going to bring a big group in here, you know? Or maybe it's a restaurant that's struggling and say, hey, I have this idea. I mean, we did one event that was super successful and it never happened. It was at this park playground. We were like, hey, it's a new park. We were going to go there early, set up the tables, have cornhole, you know, a bunch of coolers with drinks from Bevmo, and then it poured rain and we had to cancel. But everyone was like, oh, I was so looking forward to that. But we got to invite 200 people. We never had the party, but everyone was like, oh, that was such a good idea. Thanks so much for thinking of me. I really wanted to do that event. It was great. Again, I thought, you know, I've heard this over and over. It's don't think of likely to sells or, you know, clients is like, hey, how do I get their listings? Like, just how can I make contact with people? How can I stay top of mind? How can I engage in conversation? You know, architects is another good one, right? Architects, designers, right? Grab a top designer. Hey, what are the hot trends right now? Just don't sell, like the less selling, just that. And again, outsource what you can. I cannot tell you enough. Like, if you can find a transaction person, like I just yelled at one of the guys on my team this week, right? He sits there and he does all the transactions. He does all that stuff. This is why I have to know if I'm doing it backwards, right? But every sales cycle goes like this, right? Because you're like, you get a bunch of business and then all of a sudden you're working those deals, right? And then you're out of business. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm out of business. Oh, here you go. Transaction people, they're worth their weight in gold. Mine does everything. I tell my clients up front, as soon as we're in contract, you will not hear from me again until the close. Now, if there's an emergency, you will. And by the way, if anything comes up and you're confused, you have my phone. However, I don't play the operator game well. No one does. Vicky is going to guide you in and land this plane. As long as you tell them that up front, this is what I learned from Chirag, right? As long as I tell them up front, they're great, right? This is how I make this go exceptional. She's the best in the business, right? I sell her up front. She is the best. She's the greatest, right? Super hype Trump style, right? Greatest ever, great. And they're like, okay, great. I look forward to working with her. And then she just lands the plane. And I pay her extra because she does everything. Same with my marketing, agent upgrade, coaching, set expectations exactly. Hopefully this makes sense. I'm getting all these messages. Feedback poll. Oh, feedback poll. Anyway. Is that helpful, everybody? I think they're cutting me off. But anyway, thank you. I think they wanted me to do some, oh, here, a poll. Does that poll come? Can people give me a thumbs up if they see a poll? Do you guys see that? Okay, I think Chirag wants this. But anyway, I'm always available. If you ever have any questions that we talked about, you can hit me up. Text is best, not email, and then I can call you back. And you know, here to help. Again, my goal in this is you know, just to spawn ideas and to help you be the best that you can be. And I appreciate you guys.